Now we have the presentation of the topic by Reverend Father Rayappa on topic ecological adaptation. I cordially welcome Reverend Father Rayappa. Father Rayappa is a Catholic priest of Vellore Diocese, and he has been a priest for 37 years, serving the poor of southern India for most of his time. He has authored more than 15 books on different topics and subjects. He became committed to the defense of life in all its forms after reading The Diversity of Life by Edward Wilson. Father Rayappa's understanding of our duty to protect the environment draws on insights that he finds in Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Islam. Nevertheless, he believes that Christianity, under the leadership of Pope Francis, launched an environmental encyclical, Laudato Si, in 2015, has the strength and authority to bring about change in the way that embrace trees the earth. So we welcome Reverend Father Rayappa. Over to Father Rayappa.
Good morning to everybody there. I thank Brother George for providing this opportunity. And my topic today is ecological adaptation. Actually, this is a good example I want to give you right now. There is a time factor involved in my presentation. It is related to my subject. Now 9:43, the time was given to me 9:30 to 10:30. So because now already 9:45, I need to adapt. So this is an example, all right. But still, I got my 45 minutes of presentation, so I'm not worrying, but still I need to adapt. So that is the lesson I'm going to teach you today. Is there a possibility of displaying my PowerPoint there? Okay. The first quote comes from H.G. Wells, adapt or perish. Only two options. There is nothing in between. Only two, adapt or perish. Now as ever, in nature's inexorable imperative. Next. This is the first slide, which gives you, explains about our own theme of today. You see, August 15th, 10th of August, 10th of August 2021, IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has issued a warning. It's a problem. You see, the 3,949 page IPCC report is so red for humanity, said Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United States. So that is the problem. In technical words, known as the limiting factor. I'm going to explain what is limiting factor a little later. So remember the word limiting factor. In other words, it's an obstacle for life itself. So the first part of the paragraph, you see the problem or a limiting factor. The second part of the slide, this report must sound a death knell for coal and fossil fuels before they destroy our planet. That is the process of adaptation. Whenever we face with limiting factor, we think about adaptation. So that is the very basic lesson what I would like to illustrate today morning. If you understood this first slide, the rest is easy. Rest is easy. So the first part is a limiting factor. The second part is the solution, adaptation, because the coal, fossil fuels are destroying the planet. These fossil fuels and coal produce CO2. It has already crossed 415 parts per million in the atmosphere, which is beyond the capacity, carrying capacity of the atmosphere. So the next slide, please. India is going to be an epicenter for all the disasters. I warn you. Not only I warn you, IPCC warns India. India is known as one of the 8 South Asian countries. In the document, you find the word, you don't find India. You find only South Asia, which includes India. South Asia to bear the brunt of worsening climate change, one of the planet's most vulnerable regions to climate change. That is, the warning comes from the IPCC. Next. First, I would like to give you some of the warnings given by IPCC, then I will go a little deeper into them. All right. The IPCC's 6th assessment report, it is known as the IPCC 6 AR, signifies assessment report, is the latest in a series of reports that assess the science of climate change, its impacts and risk. Global warming is expected to reach the dangerous 1.5 Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius level as early as the 2030. In the 5th assessment, in the 4th assessment, we have been told only in 2050 or in 2100 year, we will be reaching to this level. But now the 6th assessment report warns, I think we are going to expect much earlier in 2030 itself. It's only about 9 years. 9 years. Vulnerable South Asia, India needs to mount stronger climate defenses. The world is expected to get warmer much faster than previously expected. Rising temperatures will lead to dangerous weather extremes. Next. Extreme weather events turbocharged by climate change will not stop or even slow down. Our region will be hit by rising sea levels, heat waves, drought, and more intense and frequent bouts of rain. Just now we are experiencing the same. Known as rain bombs. There was a bomb in Vellore yesterday, day before yesterday. It's a heavy bout of rain. Never happens in Vellore. Heavy rain events will intensify by 7% for each degree of global warming. It may be 1 degree up by 2050 or 2. By 2100, my God, the predictions go from 8 degrees Celsius to 2 degrees Celsius. That means 40%, 50% increase of climate events like bouts of rain. What IPCC stands for? Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. An authorized infrastructure that predicts climate change, composed of 5,000 state-of-the-art scientists. There have been 5 assessment reports published by Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The latest was 2021, known as the 6th assessment report. Actually, the 5th assessment report is also equally important, which was published in 2013. Actually, 6th assessment report is the explanation in a deeper level on the 5th assessment report. Next. IPCC assessments and reports prepared by 3 working groups. You should know about the working pattern or methodology of the IPCC, because next 500 years, you are going to talk and we are going to talk. Only one word we are going to talk in the next 500 years. Adaptation. Nothing else. Nothing else. No biology, no mathematics, no history, no geography, no theology, no philosophy. Adaptation. Yeah. 8 billion people are going to talk only one word, adaptation. Actually, only the first group, it is called Working Group 1, is published right now based on the physical science basis. The Working Group 1 report published on August 10, 2021. It is a red mark, the red warning for humanity, for 8 billion people. We are condemned to destruction, catastrophe, pandemic already. The real threat, the epicenter of the impacts and the adaptation processes will be given only in the Working Group 2 report. So actually today in my PowerPoint, I'm going to concentrate on the second Working Group 2, which is concerned about impacts and the adaptation processes and the vulnerability of our own situation. The report will be published, unfortunately, only in February 2022. That's a bad news. But I'm going to bring the resources from the 5th assessment report. That is the good news. So I think, pending the publication of Working Group 2, I assume that they'll be discussing more deeper the same impacts and the same adaptation processes in the 5th assessment. So I'm going to heavily relying myself on the 5th assessment report. The 3rd working group concentrates on mitigation of climate change. It will be available, the report will be available in March 2022. Again, I want to make it that mitigation is also a process of adaptation. All right, one of the process of adaptation. Okay, this is a document I recommend all the participants today download this document. It is exclusively for India, known as the South Asian countries. It is based on the 5th assessment report, of course. You better download the IPCC's 5th assessment report, What's in it for South Asia. Simple, you type and you get it, and you download and you read it about adaptation. Very important document. This is a homework for all those participants today watching my presentation This is the gift I give to you, and also homework for the next 500 years. Not only for you, your children, your great-grandchildren. This is the homework, only homework. There is nothing else. Next. What are the South Asian countries? It includes the countries of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and Maldives. Next. The major climate risk index puts in perspective in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the countries that are exposed to the climate change? The IPCC report notes that India was ranked 7th. It's not a good news. No. It's not a good news. India was ranked 7th in a major climate risk index of 2019 that we cannot ignore. Next. See the map, climate risk index 2020. Look, India, the full red color. High alert. We are in the 7th place in the risk and vulnerability slot or factor. Look at Canada. Canada, India, Ethiopia, Madagascar, even Japan and Philippines. These are the countries in the most extreme condition for risk and vulnerability. That is not a good news. What is meant by limiting factor? In the beginning, I told you I will explain what is a limiting factor or major climate risk. Any name, but in ecology, you should know the word limiting factor, all right? Because which applies to the living and the non-living entities or factors, but major climate risk is only applied for humanity. So there is a self-interest there, but limiting factor is about common interest, sarvodaya. So it is applicable to living and non-living. Major climate risk is only for the living beings. Okay, watch carefully. This definition is very, very important. A limiting factor is anything that constrains a population size and slows or stops it from growing, flourishing. Limiting factors are usually expressed as a lack of a particular resource. For example, if there are not enough deer in a forest to feed a large population of tigers, then food becomes a limiting factor. So today in India, water is the very scarce resource. Actually, people are finding very hard to gain access to the fresh water resource. So that is a limiting factor. So today, water is the biggest limiting factor in India. The following discussion will be on the climate change projections. IPCC gives us some of the risk factors and also vulnerability status for India, for example. Actually, I'm concerned about India at this point. South Asia, of course. Okay, limiting factors to soil. What are the obstacles? What are the major climate risks we are expecting in the sector called lithosphere? That is a technical word. Lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere. These are the Earth systems. That is what we learn in ecology. So the first Earth system in soil, lithosphere. What can we expect in India? Droughts, will occur more because soil will lose moisture. Due to an increase in temperature, there will be more water evaporation, which will in turn decrease soil moisture and lead to droughts. There will be soil erosion. We cut the trees, we fell them. On account of that, soil erosion will be very, very rampant in India. Loss of arable soil, the cultivating soil, brick making, the removal of topsoil is going to put a big red mark in agriculture sector. So we are going to face, not we are going to face, we are already facing a process known as desertification. And there will be a great degradation of our natural resources, especially water resource. Next. Theodore Roosevelt puts it so beautifully about soil. A nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. Next. Look at the world map. India, the whole of India is painted with red mark, vulnerable to desertification. India and China. Hey, I got a good news. We want high economic growth. China wants high economic growth. What do you expect? Desert. Desert. In our eagerness to build and possess, we may lose what we have. So the high risk factor is involved in India for desertification. In water, what are the limiting factors? Extreme weather events like heavy precipitation leading to floods and landslides. What is the precipitation? Anything, rain, hail, mist, snow, etc., etc. Frequent sea storms and cyclones. Already we are facing this year. Don't forget Amben cyclone. Glacial melting, sea level rise, acidification of oceans. Urbanization in India is rampant. Our urban lifestyle is increasing. People are flooding to cities in search of wealth. On account of that pluvial flood potential, where extreme precipitation is projected to increase. What is the pluvial flood potential? The fresh water mixing with the sewage and the wastewater. Usually it happens in big cities. Next. So actually Michael Schellenberger, he offers hope by writing this quote. It's all right, all these problems can be solved. We have got experience. That's what he thinks. We have good examples of successful adaptation to rising sea levels. The Netherlands became a wealthy nation despite having 1/3 of its land mass below sea level. Next. So that is in the atmosphere. We have seen already lithosphere, hydrosphere, now atmosphere. Increase in temperature 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius by 2030. I already said there will be increase in greenhouse gases known as the GHG input. There will be increase of CO2 reaching to 415 parts per million, which causes runaway greenhouse effect. In other words, we are not going to control. We have exceeded our capacity of controlling it. That is known as the runaway greenhouse effect. And also because of non-vegetarian habits, there is an increase of methane input as well in the atmosphere. There will be extreme heat waves causing wildfires. Next. At last, biosphere. What can you expect in life? for humans and other animals and plants. Climate change will result in food shortages, increase in vector-borne diseases. COVID-19 is nothing. It is a baby snake. That is the symbolism I want to put it. But the vector-borne diseases, what we are going to expect in another 10 years, 20 years, they are like king cobra. Yeah, king cobra. There will be infrastructure damages. The poor will be affected, unfortunately, disproportionately. There will be loss of habitats. There will be refugees. By 2030, there will be at least 18 million refugees. There will be loss of ecosystem-free services. Already, there is a loss on account of that mass extinction. There have been 5 mass extinctions already happened in the history of our planet. 50 million, Ordovician, Devonian 350, Permian 200, and Triassic 150, 65 million years, the 5th great mass extinction, which wiped out the dinosaurs once and for all. This is the 6th mass extinction. In this mass extinction, not the dinosaurs, not the king cobras, not the mosquitoes, Homo sapiens, 8 billion people on the planet are facing with the extinction event, which is known as the 6th mass extinction. Next. When limiting factors pose a threat to life, only 2 options available: perish or adapt. What's your choice? I'm asking, what's your choice? Perish or adapt? Of course, for us, I'm an old man, perish. You are young people, adapt. After all, this face, this beard, this hair, which has destroyed your future, our generation, previous generation, your fathers, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers destroyed your future. Remember that. Max McEwen puts it beautifully. All failure is failure to adapt. All success is successful adaptation. This brings all of us to examine our basics. I'm going to the very fundamentals. What is the definition of life? The shortest definitions. Life is defined by consumption, reproduction, adaptation. Yeah, consumption we know very well. Adaptation, no problem. 8 billion people. India, 1.3 billion. We don't have to explain about them. Adaptation, 0. Nobody talks about adaptation. 0. Our children are not educated. Only 2, consumption, reproduction, adaptation. We goofed up in the very definition of life itself. We goofed up. The new definition should be, according to my opinion, only 3. Adaptation. That's it. Next. What is ecological adaptation? Very fundamental definition. It's a general definition. The process or the state of adjusting or changing to become more suited to an environment. It becomes a trait or a quality of a personality as a result of the process. This definition is applied to the living and the non-living organisms. The next IPCC, I'm going to explain after 2 or 3 slides. Look at this. This is a general adaptation process. Look at our ancestors. We are going back to 4 million years when we were walking on 4 legs, known as the Australopithecus afarensis. The first man stood up and he walked. He was known as Homo boisei. Then came Homo habilis. Then came Homo erectus, Homo ergaster, Homo sapiens. Today is the modern man sitting on the computer. You know what? From 4 legs to 2 legs to the computer, I should say, 4 legs to computer, it is a success story of adaptation. From one level to another level, they faced limiting factors, but our ancestors had the wisdom to face them, not succumb to perish, but they adapted, and here we are. We are living today. The human beings are populating the whole planet. That shows the success story of adaptation in our human history. Another one we can find in our home in India, known as the Indus Valley civilization, the Harappan civilization, like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Dollavera, Lothal, Megrach, all these cities today, they are a rubble, destroyed. There's no life there. But how come some people are still living? I am a Harappan. You may be Mohenjo-daro or from Dollavera or from Lothal. All our living beings, humans today, they are the reminiscent of Indus Valley civilization. So again, we have a success story. Our ancestors adapted. They did not succumb to perishing. So that is the story should be told for the future generations. And to this generation, we have a inbuilt mechanisms of adaptation. Only one thing, we are too much delusional about consumption and reproduction, but we have forgotten the very basic process of adaptation. So that is what I am trying to bring to your attention, especially to the attention of the younger audience today. Next. What is the climate change adaptation? It's very important. I'm going to run through my PowerPoint very soon, like a Shatabdi Express. So you understand this important definition. So we have come to the epicenter of our presentation. The IPCC describes adaptation as the process of adjustment to actual and expected climate and its effects. The second part of the definition is, through adaptation, societies and communities, also India, can seek to moderate the harm of current and future climate risk, or to take advantage of new opportunities. See the definition there. We are not only addressing the risk here, and also new opportunities will be available. You know, our ancestors in Indus Valley civilization, they were living only confined to Indus Valley, but because there were climate risk involved and they did not perish, they adapted. Naturally, they took advantage of Gangetic plain. It's much more fertile land. So they moved to the east and they settled there. So we are all descendants of that advantage known as the adaptation. So here we have to look for advantages, not only solving climate risk. What are the advantages? That's very important. And opportunities. Next. There are 2 types of adaptation. Actually 3, but I'm not concerned. The last one, only 2. Structural adaptation or physical adaptation, behavioral adaptation. Next. What is the structural adaptation or physical? Structural adaptations are physical features of an organism like the bill on a bird or a fur on a bear. Structural or physical adaptation is one of the main processes that explain the observed diversity of species, such as the different species of Darwin's finches. You know, the origin of species in that book, Darwin writes about finches. You know, finch is a bird. Next. These are finches. Look at the bills. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the bills are different, but same bird. The first one may be living in a rocky environment, so the bill is so robust. The second one may be living in woodlands, so the bill is little thicker. The third one lives depending on the bark of the tree for food, no? So his beak is very small. The last one is the beak is very long. Maybe this finch wants only nectar from the flowers. So according to their niche, or according to their role, or according to their habitat, they evolved structurally, physically. So that is called physical adaptation. What is the behavioral adaptation? Behavioral adaptation is when animals change their behavior, what they do to survive. As a result, the species can populate, reproduce, and grow. Next, migration is one of the behavioral adaptation. Turtles migrate hundreds of miles in the oceans. That is behavior. Humpback whales, they give birth to their young in shallow, warm waters, and they go for food far away to the Arctic Ocean, where the food becomes very abundant. It involves a long journey of migration. That is behavior. The whale shark, reindeer, Arctic tern, Canada geese, monarch butterflies, all of them migrate. We have seen migratory birds in the skies of India. That is one of the behavioral adaptation. Next. Charles Darwin, I think, don't remember anything. Okay, forget what I have said so far. You can forget also what I'm going to say. Remember this quote, make a memory, make by heart, all of you. I appeal to the younger generation. Charles Darwin, he writes in The Origin of the Species, the famous book written in 1856. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Most adaptable to change. The process of adjustment to actual or expected climate and its impact, that's the first part of the definition. Let us see in relation to India, what India is doing, because we are not concerned about the whole world at this point, because we are focusing entirely on India. Now, let us apply structural adaptation first to the first part of the definition, to the process of adjustments. What are the processes, important processes in India today? They are ecological, social, and economic systems. So in ecology, we should apply sustainable use of resources, because so far we have been doing unsustainable practices. In other words, we are taking more than what nature gives. We are demanding more from the ecosystems. That is not sustainable. That is known as unsustainable. So we face problems, expected climate and its effects, only problems. So now what is the adaptation? Sustainable use of resources. Our taking should not interfere with the use of the future generations. That is called sustainable development. The second, in society, what we should do. Our lifestyle was so focused on consumption, burning of fossil fuels. Now mitigation is the adaptation. And even though there are 8 billion people there, only few people are rich. Most of them are poor. So I think equity. So everybody should have enough to live a happy life. So that is what we should aim. Or economic systems. Our high economic growth models are unsustainable. India was in low economic growth some 50 years ago. Then we moved to medium economic growth maybe 20 years ago. But now India is on high economic growth, which is not sustainable. So we need to bring down the growth to the sustainable level. And even technology today destroys. So we need to go for technological services, not for technological dominion. That's what Pope Francis thinks, and he writes in Laudato Si, the environmental document. We should promote technological services, not the technological dominion. There's a big difference. So anyway, in response to actual or expected climatic stimuli and their effects or impacts, India is doing wonderful. Good news. Next. Hey, India is doing wonderfully well. I can tell you, and I can give you the good news. In society, environment, and economics, India is really doing very well. Hey, imagine having 1.4 billion people and being a leader. It's not easy. It's not easy. And we have a plethora of problems, but we are doing well. Hey, thumbs up for everybody here, the leaders, and also for the people. Next. India has done always good. You know, India is having 500 sanctuaries and 125 national parks, and India is the leader. India is the role model how to conserve and how to preserve the natural world. Artha Shastra, the bioethical book in India, 500 BC, India showed the world how to treat the natural world. Ethics, how to treat elephants. Chanakya writes the 7th chapter. Asoka, with his rock edicts and pillar edicts, completely writing, don't kill animals, plant trees, and be compassionate to the natural world, whether living or non-living. So the second, now let us apply the structural adaptation to the second part of the definition. Through adaptation, societies and communities can seek to moderate the harm of current and future climate risk, or to take advantage of new opportunities. Next. Sare jagah se acha. This is what India is doing. Listen very carefully. India is one of the few countries on the path to fulfill its promise to reduce emissions intensity by GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030. With 38% of non-fossil fuel electricity capacity, India is just 2% short of its 2030 target of 40%. Wow, only 2% short. I think we should feel proud about India. Remember the first slide I was talking about? One of the adaptation process recommended to the whole world is to reduce the fossil fuel burning. See, India has done non-fossil fuel electricity capacity. So I think we are on the right. Look at this picture. India was previously burning 60% coal. Now you see, it is halved. It is only 30%. 60% coal we were burning in India, but now only 30% we are burning coal. Excellent. Next. So again, India is also aware that some low carbon development options may be less costly in the long run and could offer new economic opportunities. For example, the development of low carbon mass transit system can boost economic productivity. That is the opportunities, no advantages, can boost economic productivity by reducing traffic congestion and can improve air quality, thus benefiting public health. This is a major opportunity. India is doing that, not yet, but we are doing. A third of India's GDP is heavily dependent on agriculture. You know the gross domestic product, 1/3 comes from agriculture. The largest GDP producer in the world, India, maybe after China. So we are equally good in producing GDP through agriculture. So maybe that is the sector where our leaders should concentrate. Our leaders should focus because most of the poor live in the agricultural sector. So if our leadership really looks into this sector, I think greater solutions can appear and sustainable development really can flourish in India because in that area we use a lot of fertilizers, killing the land, killing the soil. Agriculture is the largest destroyer of the natural world because of industrial farming. That is dangerous, but go for organic farming. Pearl Zoo puts it, adaptability enforces creativity, and creativity is adaptability. Next. All right, behavioral adaptation, we can bring back Gandhian village economics. Yeah, because we have forgotten it. 1905, Mahatma Gandhi wrote Swadeshi. What is it? It is called neighborliness, localism, bioregionalism. You know what? The whole world is talking today in terms of these three Gandhian village economics, the Swadeshi, Swaraj, Sarvodaya. Pope Francis, in his environmental document called Laudato Si, he brings again and again only these three principles, but in different terms like localism, bioregionalism. You should take care of the local resources of water, air, soil, he writes. That is Swadeshi. Swaraj is self-rule. That means if you are an ethical person, India will be also ethical. If you are a violent person, India also be violent. That's why Mahatma Gandhi differentiated inner Swaraj, outer Swaraj. How Indians are in their conscience, that is the way country reflects. So if you are good, good country. Bad, bad country. What goes around comes around. Sarvodaya, upliftment of all. Pope Francis is calling. It is the common good is the most important thing. Self-interest we should denounce. Common interest. I have forgotten one more principle in Swaraj. Pope Francis is writing, the erosion of ethics, values, moral behavior has caused the ecological crisis. There is no ethics. That is why we are facing big problems. I think it is time to bring these three Mahatma Gandhian village economics because the whole world is talking, church is talking, Pope is talking, and 8 billion people are talking today. All the 195 countries are talking those three principles. How come we can ignore? I think it's time to study about them. Swadeshi, Swaraj, Sarvodaya. The behavioral adaptation, Gandhian village economics, yeah, I already explained, that can lead to, go back to the previous slide, please. Yeah, see, a lifestyle, a behavioral adaptation can lead to lifestyle change, and also it can lead to sustainable development. Next. So these are the some things the younger generation can follow. My age group will not follow anything. They have crossed, they are over the hill. They wouldn't follow anything what I am telling you, including myself. So only youngsters have the good heart. to listen and follow. I believe that. So some of them live car free. Don't buy car. It doesn't change anything in your life. Maybe if you want to buy battery power, don't fly too much. So much of carbon emissions. At least one long journey you should avoid in a year. Go for renewable energy. Go for public transport. Go for motorcycle. Or go for bicycle. Or go for walking. Or stay home. That is the best. Stay home. Best. And then refurbishment of houses in order to feel cool and also to control heat. Become a vegan, not vegetarian, vegan. Vegan means only vegetables and fruits and nuts, no milk, no dairy products. Vegan means strictly vegetarian. At least vegetarian, if you become, I think the environment will benefit. Heat pump, that is the latest technology. Ask in your store what is the heat pump. That is the thing the future homes will be equipped. So the whole world is going for heat pump. Ask, I can't explain, no time. There should be improved cooking equipment. I think our younger generation should take the opportunity and invent new technology. That is very important. For our mothers, for our grandmothers, please, grandchildren, why don't you invent something efficient? Because in India, we are eating 3 to 5 meals a day. On the other hand, in other countries, they are eating only 1 meal a day. So better we invent one of the efficient cooking vessel or method so that our women can live in peace. Please, that is the area. You don't invent anything, only how to cook efficiently without pollution. All right, so renewable-based heating. Next, I want to give you 10 commandments. First, speak up about adaptation. Power your home with renewable energy. Weatherize, weatherize, weatherize. Not air conditioning, not heaters. Windows. Invest in energy efficient appliances. Ask the store, what is the energy efficient appliance? Buy less. Reduce water waste. Become a vegetarian or vegan. Reduce, reuse, reject, react, recycle. 5R. Don't forget. Buy better bulbs. Pull the plug. I'm going to pull my plug right now after this. Next. Adaptation can achieve the following: risk reduction, exposure reduction, vulnerability reduction. At the same time, resulting in development, planning, practices. So I want to summarize. I am concluding my PowerPoint presentation. This is the summary. IPCC, 7 key messages on adaptation for South Asia, for India. Climate change poses challenges to growth and development in South Asia. Number 2, adaptation will bring immediate benefits and reduce the impacts of climate change in South Asia. Adaptation is fundamentally about risk management. South Asia has many adaptation methods. You know what? India, they are telling we are wise because Mohenjo-daro, Harappa people were wise to survive even today. So they are recognizing, IPCC knows that. That's why they are telling, go back to one slide, please. See, South Asia has many adaptation options. The whole world expresses in our Indian ability to adapt. That is great. Next. No. Yeah, some low carbon development options may be less costly in the long run and could offer new economic opportunities for South Asia. That is in the economical sector. In technology sector, South Asia stands to benefit from integrated climate adaptation, mitigation, and development approaches. In dialogue and cooperation, international cooperation is vital to avert dangerous climate change, and South Asian governments can promote ambitious global action based on dialogue and cooperation in the international level. We are doing well. All the three. India gets the A pass mark. Super. Next. The last quote from Jessica Hegdon: adaptability is the simple secret of survival of our future generations. That's it. I conclude. The last slide will be some of the information about me. My name is Rayappa. My mobile number 877-850-4710. My email rayappa.kasi15@gmail.com. www.planets, watch S in the middle, planetschaser.com. There are 15 books absolutely free in PDF files, and you can download from my website. So I wish you all the best. Talk about adaptation. Again, I want to define the new definition of life. Life is defined by adaptation. 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 Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Father Rayappa, for the passionate presentation. We could feel the energy within. We talk about the ecological adaptation. We could not find any questions in the chat box and also in the YouTube. We could not find any questions. Probably the message was very clear. The presentation was very clear to everyone. Thank you so much, Father, for the excellent presentation. Everything that was covered was extremely relevant to the occasion.